Christine Brennan writes a book about Caitlin Clark and the revolution behind women's basketball.
She talks about the impact of Caitlin Clark.
This book is so interesting, and it's really about a phenom, as you call it in the sports world, Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark is a star. She is one of the most decorated women athletes.
Caitlin Clark is the driving force behind the WNBA success, women's basketball success.
Doing massive business for a league that has no track record of it.
The moment Caitlin Clark's new book dropped, everything changed. Social media exploded, headlines lit up, and inside the WNBA, the tension reached a boiling point.
Caitlin Clark has changed the game. She changed it in college and in the WNBA.
Caitlin Clark has captivated the nation, breaking scoring records in college and bringing women's basketball to a whole new audience.
What was meant to celebrate a generational icon is now exposing deep cracks in the league. Jealousy, backlash, chaos.
Jealousy and resentment as a white player became the top story in a predominantly black league.
And through it all, Caitlin just keeps rising. If you stand with Caitlin Clark 100%, drop 100% in the comments right now, because what happens next could shake the entire WNBA.
She is a phenomenon.
Her presence and her impact in women's basketball is referred to as the Caitlin Clark effect.
Country has fallen in love with what we have created. And America, here's the girl next door, all grown up, Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark was never supposed to be a household name, not in a league that spent decades struggling for visibility. But here she is, front and center, redefining what's possible for women's sports. And now a new book, On Her Game, is pulling back the curtain on just how deep her impact really goes.
Christine Brennan, she's now written a book called On Her Game, Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in Women's Sports.
This Christine Brennan book, it's called On Her Game, Caitlin Clark and the Revolution in Women's Sports.
And why it's making the WNBA squirm.
Christine Brennan is releasing her book about Caitlin Clark, and she talks about the impact of Caitlin Clark, and I'm sure there will be so many wholesome stories and uplifting things about Caitlin, but she is also sharing a look behind the scenes at a lot of the drama and negative things.
Written by veteran sports journalist Christine Brennan, this unauthorized biography doesn't come from Caitlin's PR team. It's raw, it's unfiltered, and it's lighting up conversations everywhere.
It is causing such a crazy stir amongst fans.
Not just because of what it says, but because of what it exposes.
It's actually selling out. A lot of people have ordered the book because there is a lot of juicy gossip. She's fueling a lot of drama. And that's the method that she's using to market her book.
Brennan followed Clark for 6 weeks, sitting in on press conferences, practices, games, and behind-the-scenes moments.
You spent 6 weeks on the road with Caitlin and the Indiana Fever, covering games, practices, and press conferences.
What she witnessed wasn't just a rising star, it was a cultural phenomenon.
She is, of course, as you said, a phenomenon, as we say in the book.
Men who once wouldn't be caught dead watching women's sports are now planning their evenings around her games.
And I interviewed a lot of these guys who are putting on the number 22 jersey, going to the grocery store, going to the game, planning their evenings around the starting time of Caitlin Clark's game.
Clark and her team have often seen more fans in the arena for the WNBA than some NBA teams.
Grown adults are wearing number 22 jerseys in grocery stores. Kids, boys and girls, are lining up hours early just to get a glimpse of her. And here's the part that hits hardest. Brennan says this isn't just hype. It's something we've never seen before in women's team sports. Not Serena, not Simone Biles. Caitlin is the first true crossover icon in a team-based sport at this level.
TV ratings, the audience, but it's about a person that the nation, I think, has correctly fallen in love with.
Not an Olympian, not a tennis player, a basketball player. And that changes everything. This is the athlete America created, thanks to Title IX.
Title IX, which, by the way, has just celebrated its 53rd anniversary.
To parents throwing softballs with their daughters.
She is the all-American girl, grown up. She, frankly, is that girl that parents see in the kitchen every morning who is racing off to soccer practice and then changing in the car.
To decades of women being told no until someone like Caitlin finally said, "Watch me,
For generations, we were saying no to girls and women. You cannot learn about sports.
And now that she's here, dominating headlines and becoming a symbol of what women's sports can be,
She and her team, the Iowa Hawkeyes, drew more television viewers for the women's NCAA championship than the men drew in their NCAA double championship game.
it's shaking the system that was never ready for her. But while fans are celebrating, not everyone is happy. The book shows just how unprepared the WNBA and some of its players were for the tidal wave that came with Caitlin Clark. And that's where the story takes a sharp turn. Because the bigger Caitlin gets, the more exposed the league becomes. And this is just the beginning.
Caitlin Clark is that person.
She's a beneficiary of
She's
this.
a beneficiary. She is, frankly, what we created.
Caitlin Clark didn't just walk into the WNBA, she kicked the door wide open. With a wave of fans, national attention, million-dollar NIL deals, and a game that speaks for itself, her arrival wasn't just exciting. It was disruptive. And that disruption exposed a brutal truth. The WNBA wasn't ready for Caitlin Clark.
But it has not always been a smooth ride to her deserved stardom and deserved success.
And many of its players weren't either.
What Caitlin Clark's first year in the WNBA looked like and the lack of preparation from the league level.
Christine Brennan's book doesn't tiptoe around this. It dives straight into the uncomfortable truth. The WNBA is a league that's long been dominated by Black players, many of whom have spent years being overlooked, underpaid, and ignored by mainstream sports media. Suddenly, a white player from Iowa shows up and gets everything: the headlines, the commercials, the sold-out arenas, and the resentment. It's real. In Brennan's own words, "If I were a Black player, this would bug the hell out of me." That's not speculation. It's a direct acknowledgement of the tension surging beneath the surface.
Other needle movers in sports, Michael Jordan is Black. Simone Biles, Serena Williams are both Black. Tiger Woods called himself Cablinasian. Why is there so much negative attention to Caitlin Clark being white?
For the longest time, this was seen and still is as a majority Black league. And it is 74% Black. And so I think all of us understand that the issues that can come up in that situation. And hey, I'm sitting here talking to you as a white woman, you're a white man, and we will never live 1 minute.
The WNBA is 74% Black, and the feeling among some players is that Caitlin didn't earn the spotlight. She just inherited it.
Jealousy and resentment as a white player became the top story in a predominantly Black league.
But what that ignores is this. Caitlin Clark did earn it, every bit of it. From the gym floors of West Des Moines to outscoring legends and carrying Iowa to the NCAA finals, she's backed up the hype with nothing but results. But the real problem isn't Caitlin, it's the WNBA leadership, because they saw this coming and did absolutely nothing. Brennan makes this crystal clear. While Caitlin's college games were drawing 20,000 fans and record-breaking TV ratings, the league made zero effort to prepare its players for what her arrival would mean. No media training, no honest conversations, no attempt to bridge the growing divide between Caitlin and her future teammates. So what happened instead? It blew up, fast. You've seen the clips, the dirty plays, the eye poke.
Did you intend to hit her in the eye? And if so, could you just, or if not, either way, could you talk about what happened on that play?
I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me. But no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her. So obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am.
The constant elbows.
Controversy surrounding the eye poke saga, where Dejanay Carrington poked Caitlin Clark in the eye.
The Players Association issuing a statement attacking journalists for asking about Caitlin Clark.
WNBPA ripped her a new one. They called her out. They wrote a whole message like on behalf of the 144, which is 144 players.
The WNBA PA came out against Christine Brennan because she was questioning Dejanay about the eye poke situation.
That's not just tension. That's a league in panic mode, reacting instead of leading. Let's be honest, jealousy is fueling a lot of this. Brennan describes it in the book and in interviews. Some WNBA players feel like they fought for years in silence, only to watch Caitlin Clark become the face of a movement they helped build. That frustration boiled over when Angel Reese publicly called out the media, claiming she was too ghetto for their narrative. She didn't say Caitlin's name, but the target was clear. And yet, through it all, Caitlin hasn't cracked. She's not lashing out. She's not playing the victim. She's doing what real stars do, rising above it. She thanks fans, signs autographs for both boys and girls.
Always thanking others, talking about her role, doing autographs before, after, making sure if she misses a kid, coming back to that kid, and not just girls. She talks about girls and boys.
Shows grace in press conferences, even when reporters push her into political territory. When asked about the backlash, she doesn't throw anyone under the bus. She simply says, "Don't use my name to promote hate." That's leadership. And the irony? The league that ignored her impact is now cashing in on it. The same players who felt threatened are now seeing higher salaries, better travel conditions, and bigger crowds because of her. The same league that fumbled the rollout is now scrambling to build marketing campaigns around her name. Christine Brennan reveals just how deep this rift goes. When she asked a WNBA player about a physical incident with Caitlin during the playoffs,
Christine Brennan asked DeJournay, she said, "DeJournay, when you went and kind of swatted at Caitlin, did you intend to hit her in the eye?"
the backlash wasn't just fierce, it was organized.
This was in regards to DeWanna Bonner. Just a couple of minutes after Carrington's interview session was over and she walked away, I was standing near the other reporters at the side of the court when her teammate DeWanna Bonner walked toward me. "You disrespected my teammate."
The Players Association accused her of trying to bait Black athletes into racist narratives.
DeJournay Carrington overheard them talking and started accusing them of saying she's a bad teammate. This is what the WNBPA, which is the Players Association, wrote to Christine Brennan afterwards. A message on behalf of the 144. To unprofessional members of the media like Christine Brennan, you are not fooling anyone. That so-called interview in the name of journalism was a blatant attempt to bait a professional athlete in participating in a narrative that is false and designed to fuel racist, homophobic, and misogynistic vitriol on social media. You cannot hide behind your tenure.
But Brennan, who has asked far tougher questions to Tom Brady, Tiger Woods, and Michael Phelps, hit back. Are we saying women don't get the same questions men do?
I didn't like the way Brennan phrased her question at the time. It was almost too accusatory, but the question itself, I mean, those are the kind of questions, those are big boy and girl pants questions.
That moment wasn't just about media. It exposed a deeper fear within the WNBA, a fear that Caitlin Clark's presence is not just changing the league, it's revealing its flaws.
WNBA official, she says this. She says, "I have a simple test about whether questions are appropriate or not. They should not be vulgar, they should not be rude, or they should not be inappropriate. Your questions were not vulgar, rude, or inappropriate. Your questions were fine. Unfortunately, most of our players have zero idea what real media exposure is."
The favoritism, the resentment, the lack of leadership. And yet Caitlin continues to handle it all with the kind of maturity most veterans struggle to maintain.
The maturity, the poise, handling every issue, lots of stuff thrown at her, lots of controversy, as you know, and everything about her, a maturity, an elegance, intelligence, and just also a sense of humor that you would hope to see in someone. And America, there she is.
That she's so famous, but is able to keep a level head amid all the crazy storm.
Brennan describes her as 22 going on 40.
She was 22, now she's 23. But all of this at age 22, I say she's 22 going on 40 or 50.
Someone who shakes hands firmly, looks people in the eye.
Her handshake is firm. She looks you in the eye. We're the same height, basically. Just kind, thankful. She's one of these people who thanks you for your coverage.
And never hides from the moment. In a league that's been begging for mainstream relevance for decades, Caitlin Clark delivered it. But instead of celebrating her, parts of the league turned on her. Not because she did something wrong, but because she did something they didn't see coming. And now, the WNBA is being forced to face the truth. The Caitlin Clark effect is real, and it's not going anywhere.
She never said no comment. She never said, I don't want to talk about this. And a lot of the questions were also about basketball and what's she thinking and does she know when the ball leaves her hands that it's going in?
Caitlin Clark is no longer just a basketball player. She's something bigger, something the WNBA and much of the media world never anticipated. She's a cultural icon, and her name now sits in the same breath as LeBron, Serena, and yes, even Taylor Swift. But the real question is, how did we get here? How did a 6-foot-tall guard from Iowa, who started playing against boys at 5 years old, become the most talked-about figure in women's sports, while simultaneously causing a cultural and racial firestorm inside the very league she was meant to uplift? It started with something the old sports system never accounted for: the power of NIL, name, image, and likeness.
They missed 5 games. During those 5 games, the WNBA, their attendance, or excuse me, their TV ratings, they lost over half of their viewers, disappeared. So Caitlin's gone, more than half of the viewers disappear. That didn't happen with Tiger Woods. That didn't happen with Magic or Bird or Michael Jordan, to lose that much of your fan base.
Before she even stepped foot on a WNBA court, Caitlin had secured at least $3 million in NIL deals, ranging from Gatorade to Nike to State Farm. This isn't just endorsement money, it's visibility, it's cultural placement. While other athletes were grinding through obscurity, Caitlin Clark was everywhere. Games, ads, interviews, social media. And here's what made it explosive. Those ads weren't just on during her games. They were about her. Brennan describes watching a game go to commercial break, and suddenly Caitlin is right there again, in a State Farm ad, wearing her jersey, speaking directly to the same audience who just watched her drain a 30-footer seconds ago. She never left the screen. In a media environment where constant attention equals cultural power, Caitlin Clark became unavoidable. She wasn't just the face of Iowa. She became the face of possibility. A player who filled college arenas with 20,000 fans, smashed viewership records, and turned previously uninterested dads into ticket-buying superfans. It wasn't just her shooting range, it was her swagger.
See those logo threes, she's, shooting from the parking lot and it's going in. That's where people who don't necessarily pay attention to or love basketball, they're intrigued by that.
Her confidence, her ability to electrify a moment and still show gratitude to the little girl in the front row who waited 2 hours for an autograph. That's not just talent, that's brand power. And in the WNBA, a league historically marginalized by male media executives, Caitlin Clark's stardom didn't just elevate the game, it threatened the old guard. The WNBA has never had to deal with this level of fame before. Serena Williams built her icon status across decades. Simone Biles rose to prominence through Olympic excellence. But Caitlin, she's doing this in real time, in a league that wasn't prepared for that kind of visibility to come from a rookie, especially a white rookie in a league that's overwhelmingly Black and queer, and rightfully proud of it. But that pride, Brennan suggests, has collided with something else: resentment. And nowhere is that clearer than in the backlash Caitlin faces on social media. Her every move is dissected. If she celebrates, she's cocky. If she stays quiet, she's distant. And when other players rough her up and fans ask why, the media gets accused of race baiting and manipulation. Christine Brennan's own experience proves just how loaded this moment is. She was attacked online, accused of fueling racism, misogyny, and homophobia, all for asking a basic question about whether Dijanai Carrington deliberately poked Caitlin in the eye. The reaction was swift and brutal. The Players Association called it a baited narrative. But Brennan stood firm and asked what no one else dared to say out loud. Would you react this way if the same question were asked of a male athlete? And if the answer is no, who's really being protected here? What we're witnessing isn't just a conversation about basketball. It's a collision between race, gender, fame, and power.
She is the biggest racial wishbone that this sports columnist has ever seen.
A culture war playing out on the hardwood. And Caitlin Clark, whether she asked for it or not, has become the symbol at the center of it all. But here's where it gets real. Caitlin is still just 23, And yet she's already showing more maturity and grace than most veterans.
Continual analysis, controversy, racial, misogynistic. I mean, you name it. Everything got thrown at her.
When Angel Reese taunted her in last year's championship, Caitlin didn't lash out. She praised Angel's game. When the media asked about racially charged attacks online, she made one thing clear: do not use my name to promote hate. Even when the drama reached its peak, Caitlin stayed steady. And the most powerful moment came when the internet lost its mind watching Caitlin Clark assist Angel Reese in the WNBA All-Star Game. The pass, the bucket, the celebration. Two players, supposedly enemies, sharing a highlight that silenced the noise. They slapped hands, smiled, and reminded everyone what this was supposed to be about: basketball. Still, the pressure hasn't gone away. The WNBA now finds itself at a crossroads. Its players are more visible than ever, but many feel overshadowed. Its leadership is being scrutinized for its failure to unify the league. And Caitlin Clark, she just keeps playing, keeps passing, keeps drawing headlines for being the one player people can't stop watching.
When Caitlin Clark gets injured for the first time and she is out for a stretch of games, and the viewership drops over 50% across the entire league. We saw the price of ticket sales for Indiana Fever games when she was out. We saw those drop to as low as $7 to get into the game.
What started as hype is now a movement. And while the league wrestles with its growing pains, one fact remains: Caitlin Clark isn't the problem. She's the proof that women's basketball was always worth watching. The world just needed someone to believe in.
Who is this? This is the moment.
Caitlin Clark and the revolution in women's sports.
The most popular woman ever in the WNBA, Caitlin Clark.
The WNBA wanted attention, and now that Caitlin Clark has brought it, they don't know how to handle it. Instead of embracing the biggest star the league has ever seen, they've thrown jealousy, backlash, and politics in her path. But she keeps showing up, keeps playing, keeps making history. Her book isn't just breaking the internet, it's breaking the silence.
This book drops tomorrow and it is going to be hellfire.
It's exposing everything the league tried to ignore.
There has to be a level of professionalism in professional sports leagues. And the WNBA, they haven't gotten there yet.
The favoritism, the double standards, the failure of leadership. And still, Caitlin stands tall. Not just as a player, but as a leader, a role model, and a reminder that greatness doesn't need permission. This is bigger than basketball. This is about change. And Caitlin Clark is the change the WNBA desperately needed, but wasn't ready for. If you believe in Caitlin, if you support what she stands for, drop 100% in the comments and let the world know. We're not backing down, and neither is she.